This video presents a mock trial of the landmark case, Tinker v. Des Moines, 1969, focusing on student free speech and school rights. This case helped define the boundaries of constitutional rights for students in public schools. The Tinker v. Des Moines case began in 1966 in the U.S. District Court. Students, including Mary Beth and John Tinker, were suspended for wearing black armbands to protest the Vietnam War, leading their families to file a federal civil rights lawsuit. The lawsuit was filed under Section 1983, the primary tool for civil rights litigation. This statute provides a legal claim for constitutional rights violations and allows suits against state and local government actors. The Tinker case involved testimony from witnesses that shaped the fight for student free speech. The Supreme Court eventually ruled that student expression is protected as long as it does not cause substantial disruption to school operations. The students' act of wearing black armbands in the winter of 1965 led to suspensions for violating the Des Moines School District's policy. This conflict set the stage for the landmark 1969 Supreme Court case. The trial court had to decide several key questions. Was wearing an armband protected symbolic speech? Did it cause disruption? Was the band suppressing a political viewpoint? And do students retain First Amendment rights in schools? The Students' Council argued for First Amendment protection, asserting that the silent protest was non-disruptive symbolic speech. School counsel focused on maintaining order, arguing the armbands risked substantial disruption. The Tinker defense arguments and witnesses focused on the school's need to maintain order and prevent potential disruption. School witnesses, mostly administrators, testified that their primary duty was to ensure discipline and instruction. They argued the protest could severely distract students and focused on the potential for substantial incitement or disruption. The students' theory of the case centered on the armbands being silent, non-disruptive, symbolic speech protected by the First Amendment. They argued the school's ban was viewpoint discrimination against anti-war expression. Mary Beth Tinker, one of the youngest plaintiffs, testified that she wore the armband because she believed in peace. Her testimony emphasized the non-disruptive nature of the protest, a key legal point for the plaintiffs. Mary Beth Tinker testified about the peaceful intent of the anti-war protest. Crucially, no evidence of substantial disruption was presented, as the students had quietly worn the armbands in their classes. John Tinker, Mary Beth's older brother, explained the careful planning to avoid chaos. He testified that the protest was a calm, measured way for students to voice their opinions, reinforcing its constitutionally protected nature. John Tinker's testimony highlighted that the protest was planned to be non-disruptive. His evidence supported the claim that the anti-war protest was protected speech and constitutionally permissible. Christopher Eckhart, the third student plaintiff, also testified about the peaceful intent of the protest. He emphasized the silent, symbolic nature of the armbands, reinforcing the non-disruptive message. Christopher Eckhart's testimony was vital in providing the factual basis for the students' claim. His recollection of the non-disruptive wearing of black armbands helped turn the dispute into a constitutional watershed. Herb Tinker, the family's legal anchor, challenged the school's actions, testifying that they were punished for speaking out. He exposed the arbitrary nature of the school's suspension policy, which lacked due process. Herb Tinker, a school custodian and union member, challenged the school's arbitrary suspension policy. He testified that the school punished them simply for expressing their views, not for causing disruption. The Des Moines School District presented arguments and witnesses to defend their policy banning armbands in the Tinker case. The school district argued they had authority to prevent potential disruption from the divisive Vietnam War issue. They claimed the policy was neutral and acted in good faith to preserve a proper educational environment. School administrators provided trial testimony focusing on the need to maintain order and discipline. They argued that the protest could severely distract students from learning and emphasized the potential for incitement or disruption. The school board's case rested on the argument that the armbands caused disruption and that maintaining order was their primary duty. They asserted their right to prevent potential disturbances to keep the focus on education. School officials testified about their concerns regarding students' focus on education. They argued the school had the right to prevent future disturbances, suggesting the armbands had the potential to incite unrest. School officials emphasized maintaining order and discipline. They believed the student protest could cause significant disruption and were concerned about students losing educational focus, suggesting a potential for disturbances. Principal Thomas DeYoung testified that the anti-armband policy was a preemptive move to prevent violence. He stated that school is for learning, not political theater, though his testimony revealed the policy lacked clear, enforceable criteria. Mr. de Jong, the principal, created the anti-armband policy as a defense against potential violence. His testimony reiterated the belief that the school environment should prioritize learning over political expression. Superintendent Dr. Melvin Hoffman emphasized the district's role in maintaining a safe environment. He vaguely cited unproven classroom tensions and argued the school's duty was to the majority, asserting that protests make education secondary. Dr. Melvin Hoffman, the superintendent, testified about maintaining a safe environment. He claimed, without concrete evidence, that the armbands caused classroom tensions and believed the school's primary duty was to the majority. The defense witnesses included Principal Thomas de Jong and Superintendent Dr. Melvin Hoffman. De Jong justified the policy as a preemptive measure, while Hoffman alleged unproven classroom tensions caused by the armbands. The district court upheld the school's anti-armband policy, ruling it was a reasonable exercise of school authority. However, the court also found no actual or potential substantial disruption. This ruling was then appealed. The appeal went to the Eighth Circuit Court, which split evenly on the decision, resulting in a deadlock. This deadlock effectively upheld the district court's ruling, leading to the Supreme Court granting certiorari. The Supreme Court granted certiorari in 1968 due to the Eighth Circuit's deadlock. This critical step brought the landmark free speech case to the High Court for final determination. The Supreme Court ruled 7-2 in favor of the students. Justice Fortas delivered the majority opinion, famously stating that students do not shed their First Amendment rights at the schoolhouse gate unless their expression causes substantial disruption. Justice Black wrote a powerful dissent, arguing that students must adhere to school authority. He believed the armbands were disruptive conduct, not pure speech, and that schools are not designed for political protest. This slide marks the conclusion of the case analysis. Thank you for watching this video on the Tinker versus Des Moines case.